You finished your first draft and now you're ready to send it off to an editor. But do you know the different types of editing? Hi, I'm Iris. I help indie authors with their manuscripts so they can publish with confidence. By the end of this video, you'll have learned the different types of editing and how they all contribute to improve your story. Make sure to stick till the end if you want to find out if you need all these types of edits to improve your manuscript and if you're ready to work with an editor. So first, let's start with developmental editing. What is developmental editing? It is a big picture type of editing, so it goes over the global story plot, how the main plot relates to the subplots or how it's supported by the subplots, and how it's supported by the character's arc, how the pacing of the story and all those things. So it's really more the big picture, the entire story. It's a global evaluation of your story and if it works. The pitfall here is that a large part of the evaluation is subjective. As it is with many forms of art, with writing it's no different. Taste can matter. So here are some tips if you want to work with a developmental editor. You may not agree with all the ideas and suggestions a developmental editor gives you. So make sure the editor explains to you why certain things need to be improved. Take their suggestions as inspiration to develop your own ideas. If there's an idea that makes you feel excited, then it's probably the right one. And take some time to think about the suggestions. Let it sink in before you instantly tackle your story. Then next, what is line editing? So line editing is a stylistic line-by-line, sentence and paragraph level edit. So what that means is that the editor really goes into the paragraph level when they look for things to improve, but also on the sentence level. It concerns itself with the stylistic use of language. It's important to improve the flow and the clarity of the story, so that's why you do line edits. Some examples of line edits are looking for repetition, redundance, monotonous sentences, or ambiguity. Some tips when you work with line editor. As with developmental editing, line editing can be more subjective. So there are usually more than one way to improve a sentence. If you disagree with the change, make sure you understand why the change was made. Perhaps you can still alter the sentence into something you do like. The editor should never take away your voice. The stylistic edit is not meant to alter the voice, only make it clearer and more readable. Then let's move on to copy editing. What is copy editing? So this is like line editing, a sentence level edit. Only this is not stylistic, but it's concerned with grammar and syntax. Consistency is key when it comes to copy editing, especially if you have words that can be spelled out in different ways, if you have different preferences in terms of commas and all those things. So if you already know you have words with multiple spellings, give your editor your preferred way. This also applies to Oxford commas, terminal commas, and internal commas. Basically anything you already know that you want in your manuscript and that you think the copy editor might need, just let them know. And if there are any made-up words or unusual words, let your editor know how you want it spelled. If you want your editor to fact-check something or to check your referencing, make sure that's okay. Make sure you mention it beforehand. Otherwise, that will take them more time, so they will need to include that when they give you their rate. Then finally, we end with proofreading. What is proofreading? It's very similar to copy editing in that it also focuses on grammar and spelling. It focuses more on the minor errors. It is really the final check of your manuscript to catch any small errors that have still slipped through the cracks. These are mostly small issues like punctuation, text formatting, and misspellings, typos. And other common issues are homophones, so words that sound the same but don't mean the same, subject-verb agreement, and numbers and dates consistency. The one difference that proofreading has over copy editing is that it's also more concerned with text formatting, so italics or bold formatting, for instance. Some tips if you work with a proofreader: the more thoroughly you've already checked your own document, the easier things will be for your proofreader, and this will save you money, so that's quite important. If you have some more unusual formatting choices, make sure you mention this to your proofreader. So for instance, if you have a certain word that's important in your story that you always want italicized, make sure you let them know. Now that we've covered all the differences, there's one big question left. Do you need all these types of edits to improve your manuscript? Yes, you do. They all function in a different level to improve your manuscript. I hope the descriptions of the different types of edits have helped you see what they bring to your manuscript. So it is important that you follow all these 4 stages when you're editing your manuscript. Does it mean you need an editor for all these types of edits? Not necessarily. It really depends on your budget. It mostly depends on your budget, really. Because it can get expensive if you invest in all these 4 types of edits from a professional editor. So you will need to make some choices there. If you do have the budget, then absolutely hire an editor for each of these stages. It can never hurt to have an additional set of professional eyes go over your manuscript on these different stages. But if you do need to make a choice, I usually recommend developmental edit or a manuscript evaluation and a proofread. That's because the developmental edit is really important to give that large picture overview and to make sure your story really works, that it's entertaining, that it fulfills it hits all the right spots when your reader is going through your story. So that's very important. And a proofread is important too. Like I said, you want to catch all the minor errors before you hit publish. So having a proofreader is very important to do that. Even if you do hire an editor on each of these stages, I would still recommend you also do the edit yourself, because one, it's a very learning experience to do that. You'll get to know your story inside and out, which is very important. And it will save you money, basically. The better your story already is before it goes to the professional, the less time it will cost them to improve it, and the less time it will cost them, the less expensive it will be for you. So if you've just finished your first draft, first do some developmental editing yourself before you send it off to a developmental editor. If you have no idea how to even begin editing, not to worry, I got you. I have a free self-editing course where you'll learn more about each stage of editing and how you can do it yourself. The link to this course is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated for more content. And stay tuned for the next video where I'll share more self-editing tips that you can already apply to your manuscript.